do it all, Dad. I can be doing all of this stuff and be listening to you and listening to Mom and engaged in the conversation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, and they all think, well, this is really great. This just is actually probably improving my brain. This is probably making me smarter. But there's new research out from the University of California at San Francisco that indicates that all of this multitasking and all of this input from the new media coming at you, bombarding you, actually winds up impeding your short-term memory. True on it with everybody they've studied, but particularly among older adults. What's going on here? Let's get a little bit of medical perspective on it. A special house call from my Dr. Ken Kronhaus from Lake Cardiology, who, by the way, did some of his cardiology studies at the very place where this study was done, the University of California at San Francisco. Welcome aboard, Doc. Thanks for the special house call. What's your reaction to this? It's like, you know, the old advice, moderation in all things. I was thinking about this as analogous to alcohol consumption. You know, nothing wrong with a glass of wine here or there. But, you know, if you're draining a bottle every night, you got a problem. Yeah. And, you know, this research that is just out shows that the kinds of distractions that smartphones and social networks present can hinder long-term memory and mental performance, that people who are really, really into all that's coming out of that smartphone find themselves more easily distracted by irrelevant information thrown up during the evaluations in the research here. It's like it impacts your ability to concentrate and focus over a long period of time.
Exactly. You need to have good ability to focus. Some of the problems we have, you listen to Bud every day and how complex our problems are today. To solve these, you need to have a good attention span, ability to focus, and ability to think. And if multitasking can get in the way of doing all this, and if you're not able to focus, if your attention span is shrinking, you know you have a problem.
You know, when God put human beings on this planet, it was a slow-moving, completely non-electronic environment in which we were in for millions of years. And now, just in this generation, and really just in the last 5 years in particular, exponentially, we've been switched on, and all of this input is available to us. And I wonder, Doc, and speak to this in closing, whether or not our brains were never designed for this much input, and we're finally at the tipping point. Well, this is terrific, and I really appreciate the input here. Do you notice now with your daughter, Amanda, what I notice with my kids, that while she's talking to you, she's also got her face in the smartphone? Aha. Now, you see, here's the deal. You see, she's still under your roof because she's a teenager. I've totally lost control of our kids on this. I think we're going to have a little bit of a battle royal over this at Easter Sunday when everybody comes over. Yeah, well, don't do that either. That obviously. But to me, forget all of the fried brains and the distractions and the impact of this and the impact on memory, as this research shows. To me, this just flat out rude when someone's talking to you and you're looking into a smartphone while you're talking back to them. It just seems, I just have a problem with that. But that's a whole other dimension of this. Thanks for the input on this, Doc, and we'll catch you for the regular house call same time this Thursday, right? All right, do appreciate that so much. There it is from Dr. K. So what about it? Have you had that experience? Are you so into the smartphone now and all that's flying at you and all you're dealing with, are you finding any negative effects? Does this research ring true with you or not? How do you handle that? Are you addicted? Do you have kids who are addicted to this incredible information source? And is it all good, or is there a downside? I'd love to hear from you. 407-916-5400. Checking real-time traffic and weather together now at 8:12.
From the David Moss Volkswagen Leaf Road Traffic Center, eastbound I-4 is very slow from Cayley Avenue, easing up just before Colonial Drive. We're also very slow westbound along I-4 from Saxon Boulevard into 1792. Reports of a minor accident just before the St. Johns River Bridge, all off to the shoulder, although causing for some onlooker slowdowns in this area. We're also sluggish westbound between 434 just a little past 436, and still very heavy westbound along the 408 from the Greenway into Goldenrod. From the Traffic Center, I'm Courtney Bright.
From 540 WFLA, Orlando's 24-hour weather channel, the heat wave will continue. We'll see partly cloudy skies, a light southeast wind, and a record-tying 93 the expected high today. 1 or 2 straight thunderstorms possible this evening. Weather updated around the clock on 540 WFLA. I'm David Maddox at the Weather Channel.
Good morning, I'm Michelle Murillo. Coming up in your 8:30 news, you can now apply for help from the state to pay your mortgage if you're unemployed. NASA managers having their final flight readiness review today, and a huge prostitution ring bust in Central Florida.
I got a great idea. Relax, turn the smartphone off, and have lunch or dinner today at my favorite restaurant, Hula Hands. What a great Orlando tradition. Big menu for every taste, all the food made from scratch at Hula Hands for every price range as well. It is at Hula Hands, as they say, where filet mignon meets truck stop fries. And I want to recommend you try their new menu of 30 small plates at Hula Hands, would you believe, from just $3. Flatbreads and kebabs and sliders. Doesn't get any better than this. And every fancy dish you can imagine as well. Hula Hands has it all. You'll see. Online, hulahands.com. How about lunch or dinner today at one of the 4 locations of Hula Hands? You'll find them in 192 in Kissimmee, University Boulevard near UCF, East Colonial, and I Drive. You're going to love Hula Hands as much as the Budman does.
Traffic on Air Online, a service of the Orlando Philharmonic. The Orlando Philharmonic presents Paul McCartney, a symphonic tribute, starring Tony Kishman, April 22nd and 23rd at the Bob Carr. A real thrill for McCartney Beatle fans of all ages. Get information at 407-770-0071 or go to orlandophil.org.
Mortgage payments too high? Fearing foreclosure? Not sure about the legalities? The Home Mortgage Law Show, presented by BHL in the morning.
And the Budman here, and I hope you join me Wednesday morning starting at 6. The S&P downgrades the U.S. credit outlook to negative. What this means for you at 6:33. Don't miss our daily Wall Street Journal update. At 7, why a Central Florida agency wants to spend public money to furnish the unemployed with capes. And at 8, it's been 1 year since the Gulf oil spill. Where are we now on drilling off the coast and the after effects of the huge spill?
Bud Henninger, mornings on 540 WFLA.
there's going to be a mutiny. 407-916-5400. Lynn and I may be all alone for Easter dinner. Is that rude? I don't think it is, because I think it is rude when people have their noses in those devices, when they're at a family event, and when face-to-face with the ones you love should be what it's all about. 407-916-5400. Pam in Winter Garden on BHL. Do we need to go on a technology diet, Pam?
Yes, we do. I don't think there's anything wrong with you asking that. And I'd like to ask Jenna a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jenna, when you were in your interview for this job, were you texting while you were talking to your interviewer?
Not only were we texting, he actually pulled out his iPhone and was showing me the different apps that he had on it.
Oh, my gosh. That's insane. I mean, to me, I would never pull out a text, start texting during an interview. I think that every person you have a conversation with deserves your full attention, and it's more than just what is said. It's the eye contact, it's the body language, and I'm afraid this generation is losing the ability to have a real conversation.
Hey, Pam, do you know what's really sick? The fact that she was doing this got her the job because he's as bad as she is.
Oh, my gosh, that's terrible.
I mean, I'm not going to lie that I'm addicted to it. I'm definitely addicted to it. I think it's a generation thing, because I don't, like, if Jeff and I are talking, or if I'm in a meeting and somebody is texting while they're talking to me, I'm not offended by that. I grew up in a time when we had instant messenger. You were talking to 6 people at the same time online. It's not offensive to me. I understand how people can perceive it to be offensive, but to me it's not meant to be offensive, and I don't see that as offensive.
Pam, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm looking for somebody out there to confirm what this research seems to suggest, that there is a downside to smartphone addiction, that the brain can't handle all the input, and it begins to get to you, and it begins to affect your memory. 407-916-5400 in 1 minute. 8:22, real-time traffic and weather together on the twos. All right, sunshine, scattered afternoon storms, hot and steamy with a high of 90, now 72 degrees here in Orlando. Nancy in Vieira on the 50,000-watt front porch. Good morning, Nancy.
Hey, good morning. This is what I did. My dear little mother was in her early 90s, and we were living in Cincinnati, and she said, I just can't, they're not talking. What are they doing? They're punching all this stuff, and she just didn't know what it was. I said, Mom, you greet them at the door. These were her grandchildren, girls. You greet them at the door, and you tell them this is a no cell phone zone. Well, of course she did, and they thought, oh, Grandma, you don't know what you're talking about, and they giggled. Well, here I made a sign, and I had it hanging from the light in the kitchen, one of those big circles with a slash for cell phones. And my mother said, you can just keep them in your purse or put them on the table in the hall.
How did they react to that, the kids?
Oh, when they greeted my mom when my mom greeted them at the door and said, hey, this is a no cell phone zone, with a hug and a kiss, they thought, oh, she's goofy, because these girls were in their late teens and early 20s. And then when they saw me in the kitchen with the sign over hanging from the lamp, the light, they laughed and
yeah, but did they get their note? Did they shut them off? Did they shut them off or keep using them?
They complied. You keep it in your purse. You can put it on the table. They complied, and we had so much fun.
Well, good. I hope I do as well on Easter Sunday. I will give you a full report, Nancy. Thank you. Let me get another call in here. Daniel in Edgewater on BHL. Good morning at 8:25, Daniel.
Good morning, Bud. How are you?
Fine, thanks. You?
Good. I was telling your call screener there, I pastor a church over here on the coast, and just from a spiritual standpoint, I find myself sometimes, no offense, you got to turn the radio off.
Can't imagine.
Get off the phone.
A pox upon your house for turning the radio off. No, I'm just teasing you, Daniel. Go ahead on a serious note. Go ahead.
Well, we have to have time to meditate on the Lord, and I
Amen
see
to
all
that.
these things, and I'm a young pastor, and I see the benefits of technology, but at the same time, I think it's having a great effect on us spiritually, not having the ability to sit alone and meditate.
Well, you may be right. And of course, what they talk about here, those who did this research, they said what you simply need to do is have periods where you let those devices go dark. You need to just diminish your connection to them. When you're on them, fine. But otherwise, you got to make time for these other things in your life. And I really do believe it gets to the point where the technology rules people's lives. And also, I do believe that people get so much input from this that after a while, the brain just gets scattered by it. You can't concentrate on anything, let alone meditate on the Lord.
I think a diet would be good, but I think a lifestyle change would probably be better, to set some parameters on ourselves to just take some time alone, open our Bibles, and let God speak.
Thank you so much for that. God bless you, my friend, and happy Easter. To Winter Haven, here's Rich on BHL. Rich, how do you see this?
Hey, how are we doing? I just wanted to say that basically, I've got some kids in my life, and I think there's a lot of parental issues that go along with this. These kids that are in my life, they're not my kids, but I basically have set the rules that when we get together at the restaurant or at the dinner table, all cell phones go off or in the middle of the table. Nobody texts during that time, and it's
what do they start to twitch and drool and shake and quiver? What happens when you do that? Do they actually survive it unscathed?
I'm going to tell you, really, at first they did, but when it becomes expected, the first time or two they'll give you a little bit of hassle, but they expect it the next time, and if you're consistent with it, they're going to, listen to you and obey you.
I salute you. I think it's somewhat courageous. It is a reasonable request, and we're going to see how it goes at Easter dinner at our place, because that's exactly where I'm headed. Jeff, Jenna, I know you don't see this the same way. You think it's a generational thing. And I forget the rudeness thing, because I know you don't agree with me on that. But let me ask you, is there ever a time when you feel like it's starting to get to your brain?
Yeah,
No.
we were just talking about that. Yeah, on a date.
Oh, yeah, on a date. But
when
other
you're on a
than
date
that,
with
no.
someone, it's rude if somebody's using the cell phone. And that to me is just too much.
When your mother is cooking Easter dinner and you've come over to eat her food you're not paying for, that's not rude, but it's rude to do it to your date?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's nuts.
Honestly, if anyone ever told me, like any family member or anyone ever said, you can come over but leave your cell phone, I would say, psh, I'm not coming over.
You've got to be kidding. If you're my daughter, you don't come to Easter dinner?
If my dad said, leave your phone or come to Easter dinner, if it was presented to me in that way, I would say, psh, I'm keeping the phone
Honey,
on.
would you do us a favor? Bring the phone along, but just turn it off while you're here. Would you please, dear? And handle everything coming and going?
I would take it into consideration. But you have to understand, I grew up in a household where if my dad's station was off the air, he was out the door. So if it was a situation like that, but if I'm, if I have no obligations to the station, I can turn my phone off. That's fine.
Any closing thoughts from the insane asylum in there?
Chill out.
Okay, fair enough. Not likely. Not on this or any other topic we're talking about. I'm nothing if not passionate about what I believe. But at any rate, I will listen to opposing points of view, which is why we continue to be able to work together, isn't it? Coming up, the heavy hand of the Obama regime shutting down the biggest online poker websites in the world. How does the Budman feel about that? How do you feel about it? We continue at 8:29. I want to give you 75 reasons why you need to call your local Medifast center and get on the Medifast weight loss program that the Budman was on. 75 reasons, as in I lost 75 pounds in 6 months. Oh, 76 reasons. Call your Medifast Center right now and receive 35 meals free with the purchase of a full program at your local Medifast Center. I found the weight came flying off. It was so healthy, and it makes sense because it was developed by doctors, the Medifast plan, and recommended by more than 20,000 doctors nationwide over the last 30 years, including my doctor. I never felt better than when I was on the Medifast plan. This one works where nothing else worked for me. You'll see at your local Medifast Center you can lose up to 2 to 5 pounds a week, up to 2 to 5 pounds a week. Get started right now. Call the weight loss experts at your Medifast Weight Control Center and know that when you're on this program, right by your side all the way to your weight loss goal, whether it's 20 pounds or 200 pounds, is going to be that fabulous Medifast counselor giving you advice and encouragement and holding you accountable. There's nothing like it in my experience. It's the Medifast weight loss program at your Medifast Center. 1-888-9-MEDIFAST. Call them. Get started today. You can do this. 1-888-9-MEDIFAST. 1-888-9-MEDIFAST. They have a couple of new convenient Medifast locations in Lake Mary and Winter Park. Online, there's more at MedifastFlorida.com.
prostitution sting led to the arrest of people from all across Central Florida, as well as many out-of-state looking for or offering sex on the website Craigslist. Detectives say no matter how long they do these stings, they're still surprised by some things they see. For example, in this case, they saw a 15-year-old prostitute who brought her 2-month-old baby along to do the job, and another prostitute that was 5 months pregnant. Applications now being accepted for unemployed homeowners who want the state to help them with mortgage relief through the Hardest Hit Fund. There's only one place to sign up. It's the website, www.flhardesthithelp.org. David Westcott with the Florida Housing Finance Corporation says beware of imitations, though.
Florida Housing has identified several imposter or copycat websites posing as Hardest Hit Fund application sites. We strongly encourage applicants to verify before providing personal information.
Homeowners who qualify can get up to $2,000 a month for 6 months to make monthly mortgage payments. There are also grants of up to $6,000 to catch up on past mortgage payments. NASA managers gathered for the final flight readiness review for the upcoming Endeavour mission. NASA's Kendria Thomas says these milestone events are never rubber stamps and they never lose their
You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to...
You know, 100 years ago, they used to play poker in a saloon around a table, smoke-filled, guns on the table. Now they play it in front of a computer terminal in the home office. Online poker's become huge. And that's the next topic here on BHL because, and I find this once again, just the latest in the endless stream of heavy-handed actions by the Obama regime. Federal prosecutors are moving to shut down the world's 3 biggest online poker companies: Full Tilt Poker, Poker Stars, Absolute Poker. I'm doing this topic never having played a single hand of online poker. I learned how to play poker when I was a young man. You know, the real thing, face to face. But online poker is a huge, huge industry. Federal prosecutors have filed a civil lawsuit seeking $3 billion in civil money laundering penalties. In this indictment, they accuse these online poker companies of operating illegal gambling businesses. Most of them operate offshore. And people play, and I don't exactly know how it works, but these companies collectively, I think, have made $16 billion in the last year with online poker. Now, I'm not a pro-gambling guy, particularly when money's involved. I mean, if you just want to have a casual game of penny-ante poker, I think that's different when people put their life savings and more on the line and they get addicted to gambling and they take themselves and their families down with them. You know, a lot of people can handle it, some people can't. I don't think gambling is good for society, but I also think people have a right to do what they personally want to do. And while I'm not a pro-gambling guy, I am a pro-liberty guy even more. And I want the government getting its nose out of our own private business here. What does the government get off doing this? They ultimately want control of the industry. This is also, I believe, a big step down a slippery slope the Obama administration wants to take toward complete regulation of the Internet. One of the beauties of the Internet, and I know there are problems with it, is it's just basically unregulated. You know, you talk about freedom and liberty, you'll find it on the Internet. Almost unlimited. That's why I have a problem with this. They're going after gambling and people's personal choice to entertain themselves the way they want. And they are essentially taking a big step toward regulating what we can see and do and have available to us on the Internet. And I do not support it. The indictment sets up a complicated global legal battle between the Department of Justice and the online poker entrepreneurs who have long argued that their operations in the U.S. do not violate U.S. laws. I have no idea how this is all going to play out. They got bevies of lawyers to determine this. But in a 51-page indictment filed in federal court in Manhattan, prosecutors allege that Poker Stars, Full Tilt Poker, and Absolute Poker, quote, use fraudulent methods to avoid restrictions and receive billions of dollars from U.S. residents who gambled. Now, how far off the reservation has the big government Obama administration gone? It's so bad that even Barney Frank is angry about what they're doing. Are you kidding me? The senior Democrat on the House of Financial Services Committee? Barney Frank. He's slamming the Obama Justice Department for shutting down online poker sites. Says Barney Frank, what an incredible waste of resources. He suggests the government ought to be spending more time trying to figure out the mortgage crisis and economic downturn instead of targeting gambling outlets. Right on the money, Barney. Can't believe I'm saying this. I'm agreeing with Barney Frank, but he's right. Here's a great line from Barney Frank. Tell him to go after the people responsible for empty houses in this country, not full houses and a poker hand. Because I'm not saying violate the law, but to give this priority in law enforcement over some other things I think is a terrible idea. I think the administration is wrong on this. Don't we have something else that the government could be doing? Like dealing with a $14 trillion debt, 3 wars, an economy that is struggling to recover as we have never seen before. So what about it? Where are you on this? I have to believe, Patriots, if you are vehemently anti-gambling, that you will support my stance on this, that the government has no business doing this, and that it is the heavy hand of government under the Obama regime, and it is a slippery slope toward Internet regulation here, and that you will agree with the Budman that the government needs to beg off on this and butt out, and that I never thought I'd live to see the day Barney Frank is right. Barney's right. Obama and Holder are wrong. 407-916-5400 on the government shutdown of the biggest online poker websites in the world. 842 on BHL. Calls coming up. Hey, you want to save hundreds, maybe even over $1,000 a year on your homeowner's insurance? I mean, who wouldn't want to take a shot at that? And you can do it and have your answer on your savings minutes from now. The key is Florida Insurance Specialists. Their high technology, letting them shop over 30 A-rated companies with lightning speed to get you the best deal and your answer on your savings literally in minutes. It all works through their incredible website, challengemyrate.com. Just another success story here. One of my listeners from Oviedo was switched by Florida Insurance Specialists in minutes from Liberty Mutual, paying $2,300 a year on homeowners, to Gulfstream Insurance, now paying only $1,550. Bang, just like that, saved $750 of his hard-earned dollars a year. What can you save on homeowners? Find out now. Go to challengemyrate.com, challengemyrate.com. For more, call Florida Insurance Specialists, 407-805-0200.
specialists would be honored to be your cardiology group. To schedule an appointment, call 407-767-8554 or visit OrlandoCardiology.com.
Lucas Nursery, the one and only family-owned business working the same wonderful, huge plot of land for the better part of 100 years. Phil, Sarah, their family, their staff, as good as it gets. And you can buy flowers anywhere, but there is only one Lucas Nursery. I mean, they know how to make things grow in such spectacular fashion. They've got the biggest collection of garden accessories and garden pottery you will find anywhere in this part of the country. And only Lucas Nursery is home to the incredible indoor butterfly encounter you and your whole family need to see and enjoy. You'll never forget it. Lucas Nursery, spring planting season. Go spruce up for Easter at Lucas Nursery, just off the 417 Redbug exit, corner of Slavia and Aloma. The website is lukasnursery.com. Online poker is big business. The Obama administration is moving to shut down the 3 biggest online websites in the world, and we're talking about what's going on here. Peter in Orlando, good morning.
Morning, bud. I love the bump music.
That's from Jenna.
Very apropos.
Amen to that.
But listen, I mean, I'm not sure anything illegal is going on here. Most of these companies operate offshore. I think Portugal is a big location where these companies do business, and the credit card transactions take place overseas. Americans who are stupid enough to gamble online are engaging in overseas transactions. I think what you're looking at more than anything else is frustration by the gang over at the United States Justice Department that all that tax money is escaping through their fingers. They want to shake down these companies, and to them it's a cost-benefit analysis. If we get a few Justice Department lawyers, get these pit bulls and stick them on these companies, we can probably cut a deal somewhere down the line, 60, 70, 80, $100 million to buy the piece of the United States, and Barney Frank will be wrong. The United States will end up collecting a ton of revenue out of the settlements from all these so-called prosecutors.
Well, Peter, I can tell you immediately that the FBI is seeking $3 billion in penalties.
$1 billion. Okay, well.
$3 billion in penalties. So there is money to be had, and they're going after it. And I think you're absolutely right that the bottom line, more than anything, is the bottom line. But there's another thing that really scares me here, and it is the slippery slope toward Internet regulation.
Well, hey, that's definitely something that Obama is interested in. His FCC is developing these net neutrality regulations, which are really meant to, if you will, control content. That's not a question of fairness. It's an issue of controlling content and tamping down dissent.
Absolutely true, Peter. Thank you. Stan, from Orlando, on this shutdown of Internet websites.
From 540 WFLA, Orlando's 24-hour weather channel. Today sunny with a high of 90, tonight clear with a low of 67, and tomorrow sunny with a high of 91. Get the latest news, weather, and traffic anytime at 540WFLA.com.
Justice Department to enforce the Voting Rights Act, such as it was violated in Philadelphia, and they won the case and then just dropped it because it was in favor of...
Right, the intimidation by the Black Panthers outside the polling place. Yep, we've talked about it. Thank you, my friend. Jeff, who's screening your calls, has played some online poker. I'm going to ask him to give us his thoughts on this, because I have not played online poker. So I'm a little limited in that regard, but I know the principles involved, and I think I know what's going on in Washington with the Obama regime. 407-916-5400 if you want to sound off on it. We're back at it in 60 seconds. 8:52 real-time traffic and weather together. Final check.
From the traffic center.
Bright sunny morning, sunshine, afternoon, scattered thunderstorms forecast with a high of 90, 73 degrees already in what's going to be a warm, steamy day. Jeff, you've played some online poker. What can you tell us? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on it, I mean, I used to play a lot of poker in college, and I used that as a way to sort of practice because there's like poker clubs that you can go play around town for free. It doesn't cost any money, like in bars and stuff. And
that's these online internet cafes?
No, they're not online. It's actual, like, real poker.
It's an actual
right.
place.
I would do that. No. Like I would use the online poker to sort of practice and get better at.
To go play regular across the table traditional poker.
Right. Just because you get to play a lot of hands and you get to see the cards and bet and that stuff. How it worked though, I never spent actual money to like buy. I think you can buy the points that you use to bet after your free ones run out. I would just whenever my free points run out when you sign up, that's when I would stop playing. So it's limited, but I didn't see that. Like
what do you feel about the shutdown?
I don't like it. I'm with you. I think it's the idea of the government sticking its nose in your business. The Obama administration has made no secret of the fact they want to regulate the internet, and this is another step in the process.
Absolutely, and pick up some cash along the way. John in Apopka. Good morning, John.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. How are you?
If you think internet poker is okay, how come in Seminole County we can't play real poker? If you think about it, if they legalize regular poker, we should be able to play poker down at the dog track there.
Seems to me you should.
It doesn't make any sense.
Seems to me you should, John.
So, I mean, that's the one thing that drives me crazy. I mean, because you've always been kind of against the gambling over here in Central Florida. But...
Yeah, I'm not a pro gambling. I mean, but I'm more of an anti-government intrusion where they shouldn't be guy. If you listen to this show, and I think people ought to be able to, I understand the scourge, gambling. I understand the problem it causes, the addictions, the families that get destroyed, etc. That's just reality. You can make the case that that's true of alcohol as well. If somebody wants to go out and play some poker, I think they ought to be able to do it.
That's what I think, too. So.
Yeah. So I don't think we have an argument. Doggone it, John, you were itching for a fight.
No, I wasn't itching for a fight. No, I just want the logic of the people in Seminole County, because they just legalized this in D.C. like a week ago, that they could play online poker in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, it's kind of funny that they do this move a week after they okay it in D.C. It's all for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, they just seized the people's money. I mean, they just said millions of Americans are criminals and seized their money.
Yeah.
And now you have no day in court. I mean, that's not right. And they just treated everybody like they were a drug dealer. You know, in the whole country that played cards.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. You made some great points. Jenna, how do you see this? I mean, am I being extreme here when I rail against what I see as not only a money grab, but a power grab by our government under the Obama regime, and that really this is a big step down a slippery slope toward internet regulation. Do you think I'm off the deep end on that?
No, I totally agree with you. I think we're definitely seeing eye to eye on this. It is a slippery slope. Once they can regulate this, they're going to use this as precedence to regulate other parts of the internet, other aspects of things, and that's the last thing we need. It's so unregulated right now. In this whole content neutrality thing, that's exactly, it's a nice way of saying regulation.
They always come up with a nice way of saying things in the Obama administration to make something that is not palatable more palatable. I mean, terrorism isn't terrorism. A terrorist act is a man-caused disaster. An overseas contingency operation is what a
kinetic military action.
Oh, that one too. Thank you, Jeff. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, we're going to watch this and see how it plays out. Obviously, there's going to be a fight over whether or not these huge internationally run online poker operations are legal or illegal. But as far as I'm concerned, the greater issues here, government intrusion once again, where I believe it doesn't belong. And in this particular case, oh yes, a big step they want to take down the slippery slope toward internet regulation. So there we go on that score. By the way, the Tax Day Tea Party was just fantastic last Friday. We talked about it at great length yesterday. More and more pictures, photographs, maybe even some videos, I don't know, from our staff, from those of you who were there and sent them in to us, have been posted on the website. Go check it out at 540WFLA.com. We got a bunch of great stuff there on Bud's blog as well. So take a look at it. Now, tomorrow on the show, we are going to be talking about Gainesville pastor Terry Jones, you know, the Koran-burning preacher from that little church up in Gainesville. He's going to protest outside the biggest mosque in America on Good Friday, this Friday, in Michigan. And they up there are wondering what to do. First Amendment rights to protest versus public safety and the possibility of riots. We're all over that story with you tomorrow. We're also over the Standard & Poor's downgrade of the American financial future as they see it because of our debt load and its impact on every one of us. And also, Workforce Central Florida. What are they doing dressing the unemployed up in red Superman capes? We're going to talk about all that and a whole lot more from 6 until 9 tomorrow morning. Try to keep you informed and entertained on the way to work here. Thanks to the best audience in talk radio for making for another great show. Callers, you were terrific. Jenna, Jeff, you're as good as it gets. And from the Bud Man to all of you, have a great day. God bless you, and God bless America.